Okay, I'm in a hyper mood. You're listening to episode 66 of On Purpose with Alex Beadon. If you are someone who knows you want to be wildly profitably self-employed, but you just keep hitting annoying roadblocks, then this episode with Holly Hatam is for you. This is On Purpose. Do you ever feel like you're trying to balance it all? Nourishing your health while growing your business and living a life well lived? And no matter how hard you try, sometimes you slip from purpose-driven into autopilot. Take a deep breath, relax, and let's get you back to where you belong. On purpose. Hello, Purpose Seekers. I'm so happy that you're all here. I'm giving you virtual hugs. I'm literally just, jumping out of your phone or whatever it is you're listening to this on, and I'm giving you a ginormous hug. I'm so happy that you are here, that you made it. And that was really weird. I'm sorry, guys. I'm in a really hyper mood. So I started this episode off beatboxing. Then we moved into my fabulous British accent, which I think I should do one episode just completely in a British accent because I don't know, that just kind of tickled my fancy. I lived in England for 8 years and I am half British, so it's close to my heart. Anyway, today I'm coming to you with one of my favorite guests that I've ever had on the show. And the reason why this is so much fun for me is because I'd actually never heard of Holly before. Holly messaged me via email and was like, hey, I love your show. I'd love to be able to be a guest. And when I went and checked out her work, she's an illustrator, I was so blown away. The more research that I did into who she is, I realized that she's just such a great example of what this podcast is all about. On Purpose with Alex Beadon was created to find amazing people who are doing amazing things with their natural passions and skills and talents. And that's exactly what Holly's doing. And what I love about Holly in particular is that she's doing it in such in her own way. She's figured out how to take her talents and her skills and leverage them and make them work for herself. So Holly, I don't know if I mentioned this already, but she is a New York Times best-selling illustrator. She is a picture book maker and greeting card designer. She lives in Whitby, Ontario with her husband and son. And actually, now that I'm thinking about this, our last guest episode, which was, I think, episode 64, that was with Diana House, she was also from Ontario. So I feel like we're repping Ontario these days, which I'm loving. So yeah, I just love Holly. I think she's a great example of someone who has learned how to leverage her own unique individuality and through doing so has figured out how to turn her passion into a full-blown career. She is not an overnight success by any means, but she is a beautiful example of someone who never gave up, tuned into her natural gifts, and it absolutely paid off for her as her career continues to reach new heights. So listen to this episode number 66 if you want a heavy dose of good vibes, positivity, and a real life example of how one entrepreneur created her own version of success. And as you're listening to this episode, guys, if you have any light bulb moments, any aha moments, any takeaways, y'all know I always love hearing from you over on the gram. So share in detail what it is that you've learned or what it is that really hit home for you. Tag me at Alex Beadon. That's Beadon. At Alex Beadon, and Holly is at Holly Hatam Illustration. And the word Hatam is spelled Hatam, Holly Hatam Illustration. Okay, my friends, let's do this. I can't believe I almost forgot to do this. Okay, before we dive into the juiciness of this episode with Holly, there is one thing that I want to let you guys know. The best way that you can support this show and everything that I'm doing here with the podcast is by subscribing to the show and also leaving a review on iTunes. So if you haven't done those two things already, please go and do them, make them happen. It really helps support the show. And now I'm going to read one of my favorite podcast reviews. So this one is from someone called Strong Souls via Apple Podcasts in Canada. And Strong Souls said, "She is your business bestie. Alex is the guru when it comes to social marketing. Her authentic energy is contagious, and the knowledge she has in her industry is like no other. You will learn so much from her podcast, Instagram stories, and online courses. Definitely recommend to any entrepreneur. Thank you so much, strong souls. You are thebomb.com, and I hope this encourages those of you listening who haven't already taken 2 minutes to go and leave a podcast review. Okay, my friends, I'm out. Enjoy this week's episode with Holly, and definitely hit me up on the IG and let me know what you think. Bye. Welcome to the show, Holly. I'm so excited that you're here with us.
Oh, I'm so excited as well. Thank you.
Thank you so much for making the time and for being here. And I love your work so much. And I love that you're a listener of the show so much. So I'm going to get it started by just asking you the question that I ask every single guest when they come on. What is the most nourishing part of having your own business?
Freedom. I'm my own boss. I make my own hours. If I need to just take off, if I'm feeling too frazzled or stressed out, I have that freedom to leave my desk and leave my computer, go for a walk and relax and come back to it. And that is what I absolutely love. It's just pure freedom.
I was thinking about this today, actually, because my boyfriend, Nick, he has just started this company called Backyard Design Company. And basically what they do is they're a design company, but they also deal with branding and like lots of different things, kind of like a mini ad agency. And I was thinking when they sit down to brainstorm together, because he has like a little team, it's really fun to watch because they're all self-employed. They can give themselves whatever they need in order for the creativity to come. Whereas speaking to him, he used to work for an ad agency. And I think when you are kind of forced to be working in a place from 9 to 5 and like you have to be there, and if you're not feeling 100% creative or whatever, you're still expected to be sat at your desk kind of churning out work.
Yes.
So yeah, I can totally relate with what you just said. So for everyone who's listening, I'd love for you to just introduce yourself to everyone and just let everyone know who you are and what you do if they've never heard of you before.
I'm a picture book maker. I am an illustrator, and recently I'm an author as well of 2 books that just came out last month. I also design greeting cards and textiles. Honestly, anything that needs an illustration, I will do it and design it.
I love it. So as I told you before we started recording, I heavily stalked you before we got onto this interview. And one of the stories that really kind of hit me for 6 and really caught my attention was the story of how you left school and kind of found your way after lots of stumbling blocks to where you are today. So I would love for you to share that story with our listeners.
I don't want anyone to think that it was easy. And I just want people to know that no matter how much stumbling you do, there's always a way out. So I always am so open with sharing my struggles just because I hope it inspires someone to just keep going. So my love has always been illustrating. And I was always so confident until it was time to apply for colleges. And I really wanted to apply for illustration, but I did not have confidence in my skill. So I didn't even apply. So I applied to a program that was just for a year, and we studied every aspect of art, like graphic design and painting and architecture, just so you can get a sense of what you love to do. And after the 1 year was up, my professor suggested I apply for graphic design because that's where I was showing most skill. So instead of just following my heart, I followed the professor, and I enrolled and got my BA in graphic design in a 3-year course. And right out of school, I got my first design job at an agency. And I think it was maybe 3 months tops or a little bit more that I lasted there before I got fired. And I honestly woke up every morning dreading going to work. I had digestion problems and anxiety problems because I just did not like the atmosphere. I did not love what I was doing. So I got fired. I didn't stop to just take a moment, think things through. I just thought, well, what am I going to do? I need to pay my bills. So I applied for another design job, got another one in another agency. I think that one lasted a few months as well. And then I got let go from that one as well. And you would think 2 in a row, it would knock me over the head and say something's wrong here. But I still hadn't learned my lesson. But I knew at least I didn't go back to a regular agency job. I just decided I'll freelance design. And I did that for a while. And it was okay. It was just paying me here and there. But honestly, most of the money was coming from my boyfriend, who is now my husband. He's also a graphic designer, so he had a regular agency job, and his job was paying for most of the bills. And then one day my friend asked me to design her wedding invitation, and it got some people's eyeballs got on it, and someone else started to ask me to design theirs, and then another person asked me, and it snowballed. So I thought, well, maybe I'll just open my own company and design wedding invitations and baby announcements. And I did that for many, many years. And there were years where it brought in money, and it got to a point where my husband actually quit his job to help me because I couldn't do it on my own anymore.
Wow.
But I hated it. I still hated it every day. Like, just dealing with the type of clients I was dealing with it was awful. Like, just so much negativity. People were treating me like garbage. And again, even though I was working from home, I was still miserable. I hated going to my computer every day. I was so stressed out. I hated my job. I was making enough money to support us, but there was nothing left over. And we had loans, and we were in debt, and I still hadn't paid off my school loans. So then I got pregnant, and my husband decided to go back to an agency job just so we had that regular paycheck to support the baby. And at that point, I'm like, enough is enough. If I'm not going to follow my dreams now while I'm pregnant, I am so not going to do it once this baby comes, because I'm not going to have any time. Mm-hmm. So I just, right then and there, no thought, I shut down my company and I started to focus on illustration. And throughout all of these years, I was still drawing. So I had a portfolio that I could show. So I got a website, I threw on some of my illustrations there, and I just started emailing publishers. And honestly, not long after that, I got my first book deal while I was still pregnant.
Wow.
And that eventually snowballed to, I got my amazing agent that I have now. And when she introduced me to editors and publishers in an email, within 20 minutes, HarperCollins emailed her and said, we want to offer Holly a 2-book deal. And that is when my life completely changed. Like, those 2 books turned into Dear Girl and Dear Boy. And for anyone that doesn't know, Dear Girl was a #1 New York Times bestseller. And so when that happens, it changes the course of your life. And
wow.
I want to stress to people that when you just stop a minute and just think about what you love and just really listen to your heart, it will just, everything falls into place. It honestly, I don't want to say you don't have to work, but it's like the universe is helping you out, and it's one opportunity after the other.
So while you were going through the turmoil or the chaos of finding these agency jobs, getting fired, getting laid off, and then you're like, okay, I'm going to do the self-employed thing, and you're doing the wedding invitations, and then you're still feeling miserable. In those moments, did you still have hope for a better future, for a better tomorrow, for the fact that you were building your dream, even though you knew you hadn't quite figured it out yet? Or was it very discouraging, and were you full of self-doubt during those times?
No, I've always been a dreamer. I'm very airy-fairy, like I live in the clouds. And I really do believe that one of the best things is the journey, like just sitting and dreaming about what you haven't done yet and what could possibly happen to you in the future is what kept me going, honestly.
That's so beautiful. I love that you're like just taking the time to, and guys, this is for everyone listening. If you haven't stopped and taken like even just 20 minutes to just stop and be like, I'm just going to daydream about what could possibly be my future and what the future could hold in store for me. Like, it's such a fun thing to do. And also it like activates something inside of you that allows these things to actually be possible.
It does. It really does. I still do it every morning when I wake up. The first thing I do is sit and meditate and dream about the things that are coming.
I love that so much. That's so beautiful. Another part of that story that really just touches my heart is the fact that like you made the decision, you decided to start showing your illustrations and really building your portfolio. And very quickly you found an agent, and she then very quickly was able to get you these 2 book deals. Is that correct? Did I retell the story correctly?
Yes, you did.
That's insane that like it happened so quickly. And so for people who are listening, and especially for those who maybe are illustrators themselves and are really wondering like, how do you even go about getting an agent? What advice do you have on that topic?
On how to get an agent?
Yeah. Like how did this agent find you? How did you guys start working together?
Well, I had an agent prior to my current one, and I was miserable. They were just an awful, awful agent.
Right.
And I was looking to switch, but my current agent, her name is Christy. She's with the Cat Agency. She reached out to me. She found me.
How did she find you?
I don't know if I've even asked her that question. I think she researches constantly.
Wow.
I'm trying to remember if I had advertised my website anywhere. If there's anywhere I would give aspiring illustrators is tell them to go to a website called Society of Children's Books Authors and Illustrators and just get your 1-year membership. And there's just so much information on there, and you can find lists of agents. Even if you just Google children's book author or illustrator agents, you will instantly find just a list of agents that you can email. And I suggest going to their website, looking at the type of artists that they represent and making sure that your art would fit in, and go ahead and email them from there.
Yeah, because this is something that I really don't know anything about. So with having an agent, does that mean that you're paying the agent? Are they getting a certain percentage? Like, how does that work?
Yes, they get a certain percentage from every paycheck. And every agent is different with how much they take, but generally it's around 25%.
Wow, that's really interesting. Okay, cool. So now you have this new agent who you are in love with and you feel very, very happy with. What is your relationship like? Is it a she or a he?
Her name is Christy.
Her. Okay. So what is your relationship like with her? How frequently is she finding you new work? Tell us about that.
She is amazing. She's not just my agent, she's my friend. I honestly...
Oh, that's so sweet.
I've known her for years, and last year I finally got to meet her in New York, and it was honestly like meeting a sister. Like, we talk all the time. We actually were just texting today.
Oh,
she is the most supportive, loving, kind person I have ever met. She fights so furiously for her artists, and she just cares about people so much. And there's agents out there that are the complete opposite. So to find her it's just a blessing.
Yeah. And how old were you by the time that you signed with this new agent? Because I figured that's kind of the turning point. The turning point was like finding this new agent, getting these 2 book deals, the New York Times bestselling illustrator thing. I mean, that is huge.
Yes. I think I was 35 or 36 when I signed with Christy.
I also love that like your whole journey, like I think there's so many people who look at these overnight successes and they just think like, oh, like that should be me. And if I'm 25, I'm too old. If I'm 30, I'm too old. If I'm 40, I'm too old. And it's like, actually, it really doesn't matter how old you are. It matters about how committed you are. And that seems to be a really important part of your story, is that you never gave up, that you kept throwing things at the wall and trying different things and trying to figure out, like, I'm committed to finding something that lights me up, and I'm not going to stop until I find it.
Yes, like I'm 39 and I feel like my success has exploded at this age. So I don't want anyone to think that they're old at any age. Mm-hmm. And, it may seem fast, that what happened to me was fast, but it wasn't. If you look back on my story, like I struggled from the minute I got out of college, and it wasn't until I stopped and I listened to my heart, to my passions of what I was supposed to do. This is what I always tell people. Once you figure it out and you just let go of the fear and trust, it falls into place, because you were meant to do that thing. So of course it's going to happen. Like, you'll struggle here and there, but just if it's something you love, you keep going, and eventually your dreams will come true.
You just said something really important that I just want to highlight for everyone listening. You said, of course it's going to happen, right? And so having that belief that like, yes, like this is what I want to accomplish and feeling it in your body, like, yes, of course, it's only a matter of time until this happens. I don't know how much time it's going to take, but I know that as long as I keep moving forward, it's like a no-brainer. Like it's a given.
Yes, you have to believe. Honestly, it makes me cry. I feel like I'm going to cry now because I've believed since I was a little kid. And just
Mm-hmm.
along the way, I just got lost a little. But then once I found my way back, it all happened. And I just want everyone to know that you can. And I'm tearing up now just because I'm so like, I just want someone to, what if they can take something away from this, is just believe in
Yeah.
yourself and it will happen.
Yeah. And then even something else that I was listening to you talk today, and something that really came forward for me about listening to you is that yes, you experienced things took longer than you maybe would have liked. And yes, you experienced dead ends. And yes, that there were challenges and it was hard. But you said that you wouldn't change it for the world. And you said that you learned so much through everything that you experienced, and that all of those situations have made you who you are today and allowed you to show up and shine your light in the way that you do today. And I think that's also really important, is to know and understand that in the moment when you're struggling, is to also have the awareness of, oh, but this is all for the greater good. This is pushing me in the right direction, even if it's painful in this present moment.
Yes, completely. I feel like if I didn't go through all of the stuff I went through, I wouldn't be here. And you have to own your story, just own it.
Mm-hmm.
And I always think if I didn't get fired from those design jobs, where would I be right now? Would I still be stuck in an agency? I don't know. I got fired from those jobs for a reason. I didn't listen the first time. I sort of listened the second time it happened. And I call my son like my little lucky charm, because it was when I was pregnant with him that finally I started to listen to myself. And
Mm-hmm.
if all of these little trials and tribulations didn't happen to me, then I really don't think that I would be here today.
Yeah. For everyone listening, I really want you to let that sink in. The fact that, like, even if things aren't going to plan, even if you're confused, even if you can't see the bigger picture. And actually, I have a really funny story. So, a few years ago, it must be a good 7 years ago now. I don't know the exact year, but it was a while ago. I went to buy groceries. And this is one of my favorite stories and also one of the most painful moments in my life. I went grocery shopping, I filled up my cart. I'm pulling out of the grocery store and I go to pay, and the woman is basically like, yeah, there's your card's not going through. There's no money in your account. And it was just like this crushing moment of like, number one, how do you not have money in your account and not know and go grocery shopping and try to buy groceries? Number two, the embarrassment of like standing there, not having the money to pay for this, for all of these groceries, and having to be like, well, I guess I'm not buying groceries today, and just leave the entire cart of groceries there. Looking back, it's really funny. And then the third thing is I went back to my car. I held it together and I was like, okay, I'm going to go and try and figure it out. I'll be right back. And I went to my car and I just burst out crying. And I just sat in the car park and I just cried and cried and cried. But it was almost like in the same moment, I had this knowing that I was experiencing this for a reason, and that the contrast of this experience, which is very negative and it's very painful and it's very embarrassing and shameful, and then being able to know that like one day I'm going to be able to use this and to pull on this as a story to share, and it's building my strength, you know? So even when you're in those painful moments, try to have that awareness of just trusting in the process and knowing that the ride doesn't have to be smooth in order for it to be the right step, if that makes sense.
Yes, yes. Everything you said, yes.
You're like, yes. So something else that you said that I absolutely loved is you said that you have a quote taped to your wall and it's become a mantra of yours. And
Yes.
so I would love for you to share that with us. I think mantras are so powerful. I used to have a video series called Monday Mantra. And so I personally love mantras, and yours is just beautiful. I've never heard it before. Would you mind sharing it with us?
Mine is I decide my vibe.
Yeah.
So it helps me a lot. If I'm feeling frazzled or stressed out or angry, I just repeat that to myself, and it makes me realize that I can't control the situation I'm in, but I can control how I'm reacting to the situation. And it usually calms me down. I have it everywhere. It's taped in front of my computer. I have it on my writing desk. It's everywhere.
It's just such a powerful reminder. And also, I think it speaks so much to the fact that your vibe actually impacts everything.
It does. It does. It's the number one thing that matters. It really does.
It
It really
impacts your work. It impacts your relationships. It impacts your family life. It impacts the way you feel in your body. It impacts the energy of your home. It impacts everything.
Yes. Yes.
So
Yes.
I'd love to follow that up with a question of how important has taking responsibility for your vibe been for your success as an entrepreneur?
A lot, because even if on days that I'm feeling I can't draw or things aren't moving quick enough, or maybe I don't have enough money coming in, I'm like, well, I can't help this situation, but I can pick myself up, be happy that I'm still able to do the job that I do. I'm so grateful every morning to walk to my desk and illustrating books to inspire little people. So like I just repeat that mantra, and it makes me happy, makes me energized, and therefore things start to happen. And I also have another mantra as soon as my eyes open in the morning, and I write in my gratitude journal every morning, and I'll write this out at least 10 times. Something amazing is going to happen today. Every day I say that to myself, and every day that I do it, I kid you not, something amazing will happen. Even if it's just something little, like a friend from years ago that I've been thinking about will message me. That's something amazing. And it makes you stop and realize too what has happened to you in the day. And you realize that so many amazing things actually do happen, but we're not aware of them because we're so in our head and we're thinking about our problems. So yeah, that's my 2 mantras that keep me going every day.
I love that second one. It's so good. It's so good and it's so powerful. And I also love that you said that you have a gratitude journal as well.
I do. It's because it makes me stop and think. I'll usually try to think about the previous day and write what I was grateful for that happened. So it makes you think about your daily habits and what has actually happened to you that is amazing.
So what else do you do? It seems like you do quite a lot of things to really take care of what I'm going to call your energetic hygiene. And so I'm curious, what other practices or routines do you have that you fall back on again and again that you can share with our listeners today?
I work out every day. I'm a complete health nut, so I work out. I drink apple cider vinegar with water every morning. I make a smoothie every day. I meditate. I write in my journal. I make sure I read every morning. I'm usually awake by 5 a.m. So I get at least 2 hours of complete alone time to myself. And that's usually when I do my reading and meditating and my gratitude journal. I'm trying to think of my other habits. But yes, those are usually
the main ones.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it must be hard. I know for me, living with Nick, it can feel hard sometimes to like carve out that time for myself. And so I'm with you. Like, that's why I wake up early. But you also have a child.
Yes.
So that must be even more important to you. What has been the greatest challenge for you when it comes to running your own business and also being a mom?
It's the daily guilt. And whoever says that you can balance it all it's just a lie. Like,
they're lying.
They're lying. I don't want anyone to feel bad. Like, if there's moms out there and they feel that they should put their kid before their work, it's just like, I don't even know where to start. This whole myth about, I used to be one of them. I used to believe that balance meant that I had to spend the same amount of time working and the same amount of time with my son. And
right.
It's complete baloney. And then when I realized that that's not true, balance means quality. If I can spend even 2 hours of quality time with my son, like I'm present with him and interacting with him, that is way better than say, 5 hours spending time with him, but my head is somewhere else or I'm scrolling on my phone.
Yeah.
So just thinking of that has made me a lot calmer. I'm not going to lie and say my guilt is gone. It's not, but I'm aware of it.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I'm aware of it, I shoo it out of the brain. I'm like, just go.
I'm so glad that you can acknowledge that you have this guilt, but you also have the awareness that maybe it's a little bit of societal conditioning and maybe it's actually not very true or even beneficial. And so I love that you brought that up. And I love that you're being so honest with us because so I don't have children, but I have lots of entrepreneurial friends who do have children. And that's something, especially from women, right? I think it's different for women because the expectations, they're still heavier on a woman. And so I think it's so important to have these conversations and to hear other entrepreneurs who are moms be like, this is hard and I feel guilty. And I also know that it's okay for me to love my work. And it's actually really healthy for my children to see someone who loves what they do, because that's a beautiful example to set.
Yes, it is. My son now, he's almost 6, so he knows what I do and he understands and constantly comes in my office and he gets so excited when he sees me working on a book, especially if it's a sequel to one that he loves. And he asked me to print it out right there. He just wants to read it.
That's so cute.
Like he goes to school and he gushes about his mom. He tells everyone my mom's an illustrator. So he doesn't look at me and think she's the awful mother. She should be spending more time with me. He's so proud of what I do and he's so proud of me. And so any moms out there, you are not just a mom. Before you were a mom, you were someone else. You're allowed to be someone else besides a mom. There are different personalities to you. That's not your identity. It's okay for you to love something else. Just want to know that.
I was speaking to Denise Duffield-Thomas on the podcast, actually, and she had just recently, before I interviewed her, she had come out with an article on what it's really like being a mother who is also an entrepreneur. And she basically was like, she broke down how she has a lot of help and support. Like she has a nanny and she has someone pick up the kids from school and like she has a lot of help. And she's like, a lot of times there's this image painted online of like this perfect entrepreneurial mother who's just able to balance everything. And she's like, this is such a huge burden on the rest of society. And she's like, she felt guilt in many ways for not coming forward and being like, this is how much help that I actually have. And so that was a really interesting conversation. So for anyone who wants to learn more about that, I definitely recommend going and checking out that episode. I'm curious, do you have any help or is there any sort of support that you really rely on when it comes to your son?
I don't have family or friends around. Like he goes to school, thankfully. So from 8 to 3:30, he's at school. And that's when I get the bulk of my work done.
Right.
And honestly, it's not often, but those times where my deadlines are crazy and I do need that extra time to work after his school's over. Last year, I would leave him in aftercare at school till 5:30. And again, I would feel guilty, but I'm just like, he's fine. He's having more fun there than he would at home. He's surrounded by his friends. Or I'm not going to lie, if I needed to work, I would turn on the TV and just say, here, go watch a movie. And again, it's what we are made to feel guilty for, but I'm like, why? Why are we made to feel guilty? I'm like, I feel like your work comes and goes in seasons. I'm going to be really busy maybe for 3-4 months out of the year, and then I will be calmer for some other months. And I know in those months I can spend more time with him. So just let go of the guilt and just let it go. Do what you need to do. Just do what you have to do to get through the day.
I love that you just mentioned how it's so seasonal because that was literally going to be my next question. Yeah, because it's true. Like even for me, I look at my life and I'm like, I feel very on or off when it comes to my work. So it's either like my work is my number one priority and this is what I'm focused on. And it's like, go, 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 go. Or it's like things at work are going well, I'm going to take some family time and I'm really going to focus on my relationships during this period. And so it's just really interesting for me. And so I imagine it must be the exact same, which you just said it is with having a child as well. Like you're not busy all year round.
No. I have my months that it's crazy, and then I have my slower months. But last year was very busy, and it burnt me out a little. So this year, my word to live by this year was slow down, and I've actually been doing a pretty good job of it. Like, I've been spending more time with the family and spending more time away from my computer, and hopefully there'll be more traveling done this summer. So it's good. Yeah.
Amazing. So I want to talk to you now about developing your style, because I know that a lot of times, especially with artists, there's this conception of like, you're just born with the style and it kind of just like flows out of you with ease and minimal effort. Whereas I've heard you discuss how style is actually something that is developed and it happens over time. And so I'd love to hear your thoughts on that.
Yes, I don't believe that you're born with a style. You have to work at it. And it took me years and years to get my style to where it is now. And
Can I just interrupt you really quickly? Because I'm just kind of thinking about our listeners. Everyone who's listening, regardless of if you are an artist or not, I want you to try and translate what Holly is saying into your own business. Because we all have, so even for me, I'm not necessarily an artist, I don't sell artwork, but I definitely have a style in the way that I do business, in the way that I show up, in the way that I create my products and offerings. So try to listen to what she's saying and translate it to whatever you do, even if you're not an artist. Okay, sorry, Holly, carry on.
So I was saying, so it took me years to get to where I am today. And it was lots of years of comparing myself to other artists and belittling myself, thinking I'm not good enough and I don't measure. And I stopped doing that. I just want everyone, don't compare yourself to anyone else. You're not them. You're you. You're unique. You have your unique qualities and what you're good at. And that's honestly when my style turned into what it is today, because I started to draw things that meant a lot to me. Like, I'm a very outdoorsy person. I love nature. I love anything with magic and fantasy. I love music and dance and writing. So I always try to bring some of that into my art. And I realize that what I'm really good at is capturing an emotion in my artwork. So that's where I always go from. Usually when I start to draw, I always stop and think, what do I want the viewer to feel? And if I feel it, then it will come out to be a beautiful piece of art. But if I'm just drawing for the heck of drawing, or if I'm thinking about I need to make money, or I'm trying to maybe draw in a style like another artist, it just comes like absolute garbage. So I just want to say, be true to who you are. Maybe you should write down a list of everything that makes you unique, everything that you love to do, and go from there.
Yeah, I think it's so difficult to create any work that really stands out or really makes an impact if you're constantly comparing yourself to others, if you're constantly trying to fit yourself into a mold that is being rocked by someone else. It's so important to know yourself and know what parts of your individuality can you leverage in order to really show up as authentically as possible. And it sounds like that's exactly what you did.
Yes, totally. I just don't be like somebody else. The world would be so boring. It would be. Or you could maybe put your own perspective on artist work that you love. Take that inspiration and spin it in your own voice.
Mm-hmm. So I'm really curious to talk to you about social media, because I know that you, my dear Holly, deleted, or I don't know if you deleted it or deactivated your Instagram account. I know that you were having a real issue with people stealing your work and copycats and things of that nature. And so I would love to hear you talk about, what is your relationship like with social media? Have you found clients through social media? Do you think that social media has been important to you building your brand and your business? Or maybe your agent finds all of your work and that's fine and really doesn't matter what your social media presence is. Talk to me about that.
I have a love-hate relationship with social media. I did delete my account for, I think it was about a month.
But it's back now.
Yeah, it's back now. Yeah. But I
Just so everyone knows, what is your handle?
It's Holly Hatam Illustration.
Okay, cool. So everyone can go and check you out. And guys, if you've listened this far, take a story, tag me and Holly. We would love to see you guys listening to this and let us know what your biggest aha moments are. But anyway, carry on, Holly.
So I did a detox and I felt great because I wasn't constantly on Instagram and obsessing over the likes that I was getting and losing followers. Like it's just really bad for your mental health if you let it go that way. And I was starting to go down that rabbit hole and I did not like it. And I've finally come to a place where I'm like, likes, they don't make me a better illustrator. They're not my value. And I've stopped thinking about it that way. Now I'm finally at a place with Instagram where I go on there to just connect with other people and inspire. Everything I put up there, I just want someone to just take a minute and look at it and just be inspired by it or smile or laugh. And that's all I'm just going there. I try so hard not to look at my stats anymore. Like, it is what it is. Yeah. I'm just going to try to enjoy it. And I feel everybody is comparing themselves. They want to be Insta famous and, the next social media star. And they're trying to be so fake with their lives and what they're showing. I'm just like, why? Is it worth it? It's really not worth it.
And it can be so detrimental. I've seen so many business owners really just focusing on how many followers do I have and how many comments do I have and what's my engagement. And actually, a lot of times that's not putting money in your pocket. So it's a very interesting phenomenon to me because on the one hand, it's like, yes, social media is very beneficial for business. And at the other hand, it's like, if you become obsessed and if you let it get to you, it's too much of a distraction. So I've now been on social media for 10 plus years. I think I started blogging in 2009. And so I'm actually really, really good at just not caring. I could post something and I could get next to no likes. And I'm like, okay, cool. I have zero emotional response to it. And it sounds, I know. And it sounds like you were getting to a point where it was becoming such an emotional trigger that you had enough self-awareness to be like, I need to stop this.
Yes. Seriously, good for you. I wish everyone felt that way. I feel like social media should be a place to connect and be inspired, but instead it's making people have depression and anxiety, and it's just awful.
Yeah, sometimes I wonder, if the numbers were invisible, how would you show up differently? Because so often the things that I see people posting, it's like, I know they're posting that to get likes, or I know that it's not really the most authentic, true thing. And if you can start shifting it from, oh, I'm here to get more likes and get more follows and this, that, and the other, and start focusing on, I'm here to make real connections with people, which is exactly what you just said, then everything can really start to change. So I'm curious then, do you not get a lot of business from places like Instagram? Because obviously your work is so visual. I would think that that's the perfect place for you.
I honestly wouldn't know. I know that I have publishers and editors following me. I've had people ask me to do projects. So I guess yes. But
most of it comes from your agent.
Yes,
okay.
It does. I'm not on Instagram to get jobs. I'm there to build a community and to follow other artists that I admire. So I'm really not out there to get projects because my agent handles most of that.
Right. And you said that you have started writing. I know that you've been writing for a long time, but now you're coming out with a book.
I had 2 books. I had 2 board books coming out March 26th of this year. And I have 2 more coming out that I wrote in that series. One's coming out in September and one will be in 2020.
That's amazing. So what are they called?
So the 2 that came out last month are called Unicorns Are Real and Dragons Are Real, and they're board books.
And what age of child are they for?
Say 0 to 3. But
okay.
My son loves them, but he probably loves anything that I do. So
he's your biggest fan, Holly.
Yeah, he totally is.
Oh my God, I love it. And do you also sell posters, or do you sell anything that people can buy and hang up?
I do, yes.
That's so cool.
I don't know if anyone knows Redbubble, what Redbubble is, but I have a store up there if anyone's interested.
That's awesome. And I know that you also are the New York Times best-selling illustrator of the book Dear Girl. And then isn't there another one called Dear Boy?
Oh yes, that's coming out this month. I'm so excited.
Yay. Okay. So I feel like everyone who's listening, if you guys have someone who is, I would say under 5, but okay, let's say under 3, because that's what you said. Then definitely go and check out some of Holly's books because her illustrations are so gorgeous. You can also find her on Instagram at Holly Hatam Illustrations.
No, illustration without a S.
Okay, illustration without an S. Holly, I'm so happy that we were able to have you on the show. I'm going to wrap up this interview by asking my famous wrap-up questions. Are you ready?
Yes.
Yay. Okay. What is one thing you do that has been a non-negotiable in the success of your business?
Honestly, now I would say meditating.
So you meditate every day, right?
I do. If I skip a day, I feel it in my mood.
And actually, I watched your Instagram story today and you shared an app. What is that app?
The app is called Unplug and it has changed my life. It's so amazing. You can find like thousands of different meditations by amazing teachers.
And do you normally use guided meditations?
I do. Most of the time, yes, I do sometimes do it on my own, but I love to follow an instructor.
So I haven't really announced this anywhere yet. So anyone who got this far in the podcast, this is like a secret that you're all going to hear right now. But I've been considering, because I record meditations for my clients, and I've been considering recording some meditations like specifically around business and business mindsets and like making an episode just like an entire meditation.
Oh my God. Yeah.
You're like, do it.
Yeah, I will do the meditation every day.
So yeah, I've been thinking about it. So I love that you meditate daily. And how long do you meditate for? Like, do you have a minimum that you're like, I must meditate for like at least 10 minutes every day?
Yeah, 10 minutes is the sweet mark. Some days I feel like I need more. I've gone as far up to 30 minutes, but
Right.
10 to 15 minutes is usually my normal.
Yeah, even for me, sometimes I will just take like literally a 2-minute meditation, and it can, even just 2 minutes can sometimes make such a big difference in your mood.
Yeah, it calms you down instantly.
Yeah. Okay, the next question is share a mindset shift that has made the biggest difference in your life as an entrepreneur.
I stopped comparing myself to other artists.
That seems like it was a hard thing for you to do.
It was. I honestly, I struggled a lot. When I did that, I did not believe in my skill. And the minute that I stopped and I just started drawing what I love, it all turned.
And was it a conscious decision? Were you like, okay, I need to stop? Like, I'm pretty much bullying myself every time I compare myself to someone else, and this has to stop. Like, how did you stop?
There would just be days where I would be miserable. I would find myself just crying because I kept badgering myself. You're never going to be good as this. How are you going to do this? And just one day I'm like, well, just stop. I'm like, is this helping you? No. So yeah, that was my turning point, honestly.
I hope everyone just listened to what you said, that you asked yourself the question, is this helping you?
It's not. It really is not.
Yeah. Sometimes that's one of the most important questions that you can ask yourself when you're stuck in a mental loop, to stop and just ask yourself, is this thought helping me? Is this thought benefiting me? Is this thought making me better? Because chances are that, especially when it's something like comparing yourself to others or like whatever the case is, it's really just creating resistance in your life and in your business and slowing you down.
Yes. And honestly, it would be lying to say that it goes away forever. It doesn't. Like I catch myself, but when I notice that I'm going down that road, I stop and I list out all the achievements that I've done, and it goes away instantly. So I would suggest to anybody going through that, just take a minute and just write down everything you've accomplished. It'll just turn your mind.
Yeah. And also just to know that, like, similarly to before, how we were saying, like, you know, your negative experience, if you're going through a painful experience, it doesn't define you. Your negative thoughts don't define you either. And it's totally natural to have those thoughts and for those thoughts to come up and for you to be like, oh, you're back. Nice to see you.
Yeah.
I know you're here just to say hello, but actually I don't need you right now. And to acknowledge it, but not like attach to it or identify with it.
Yes, exactly.
Which is actually what you're strengthening, or at least for me, when I meditate, that's what I feel like I'm strengthening. is my ability to detach from those thoughts that aren't serving me.
Yes, me too, because I have a lot of chatter in my brain. So
I feel like we're very similar in this way. I feel like a lot of the listeners of this show, actually, like, we're very sensitive people. We are emotional, and that can be looked at as a bad thing, but it's also such a superpower.
it's such not a bad thing at all. I feel because of my sensitivity, and I'm very sensitive. You can ask my husband.
I know you were the first guest to ever cry on my show.
Like I probably cry on a daily basis just listening to music. So but
I love it.
Like it helps me. You can feel the emotion in a lot of my work. So I own it. Just own it. I'm like, what's wrong with sensitive people? It makes the world a better place to live.
100%. Have you read the book Highly Sensitive? I think it's called Highly Sensitive Person or something.
Yes, I have.
I read that book and I was like, oh, there's others.
There's others.
And it was so funny because it was like, do you sometimes when you're in a public place feel very overwhelmed by noise and I was like, oh my God, yes. Sometimes I feel like I need to lock myself in a quiet room for like 30 minutes to recharge.
Oh, yes, completely.
Okay, so my next question is fill in the blank. The world would be a better place if more people knew
how to be kind.
That's so good. Okay, fill in the blank number 2. The book that changed my life was...
Oh no, this is going to be... It's like I'm literally a book where like there's books in every corner of my room. Okay.
I know, you're a book sniffer, Holly. I remember in one of the episodes, someone called you a book sniffer, or maybe you called yourself a book sniffer.
I am totally a book sniffer. Okay, I'm just going to say the recent one that I read was High Performance Habits by Brendan Burchard. That Fantastic. One was, I had lots of aha moments in that book.
I have not read it, but I'm going to add it to my list. So thank you for that. And then lastly, every time we have a guest, I always invite them to challenge our listeners to take some sort of action step this week, to put their focus on doing something this week. So what would you love to challenge our listeners to do?
I want them to just take 10 minutes and write down everything that fills their heart with happiness and see if they can use any of that in following a dream that they have.
I love it. I feel like we had such a good conversation, Holly. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And where can everyone find you online? If someone is listening and they're like, oh my God, I need more Holly in my life.
Oh, my website is hollyhatam.com. And as we mentioned before, Instagram is Holly Hatam Illustration. I love Instagram. So if you message me, I will always respond back to you. So that's the place probably to get in touch with me.
I love it. Thank you so much, Holly. You're such a beautiful energy, and I'm so genuinely happy that we had you on the show. I thought it was so much fun getting to know you while I was stalking you before when I was preparing for this call. And I just think this interview has been so uplifting, and I know there's going to be so many people who are like, yes, this is exactly what I needed to hear. So thank you so much for being you, and I'm looking forward to continuing to follow your journey.
Oh, thank you so much. It's been amazing. Thank you.
If you've reached this far in the episode, that must mean that you loved what you just heard, and I want to say thank you for listening. I also want to prompt you to take a simple action step that would really make my day and really help support what I do here on the show. I would deeply appreciate it if you could take 2 minutes of your time to leave us a review. To do it, it's super simple. You're just going to open the podcast app on your phone, search for On Purpose with Alex Beadon, scroll down until you see the ratings and reviews section, and then tap the Write a Review button. Your reviews are what help support this show. So please, if you are enjoying this content, take the 60 seconds that it will take and go and write a review. Thank you so much for listening to this podcast. I want you to know how much I appreciate your attention. I want to thank you for listening, and I can't wait for you to listen